Let's bring him in. Dr. Joe Congini, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital. Joe, good morning. What do you have for us today?
Hey, beautiful sunshiny morning.
Yeah.
Ray, before I get started, one thing, and I'll touch on it a little bit more next week. Our conference is back March 1st, next Friday, a week from Friday. People that love the sports medicine or in a career we have a great group of speakers all day long on the first Friday next week, March 1st, and I'll go over that a little. We're back to the kind of numbers we had pre-COVID, and we're so excited about it. We have so many OTs, PTs, docs that come. It's awesome. So I'll talk about that later. But today I wanted to talk about some of my very best athletes. And some of my very best athletes get short shrift sometimes, and that is my dancers. And at a place like Akron Children's Hospital, in the Sports Medicine Center, Ray, 12% of my patients, when we look it up through the years traditionally, have been dancers. And dancers are a really important population. We have great dance studios in Akron, and it's a really great discipline for young women, and they're really fun to deal with. They really are great athletes. A lot of people say, gosh, athletes, for sure, they're strong, explosive athletes. They have great balance. They're really fun to work with, but they do have a lot of injuries, and they have a lot of unique injuries. I remember when I was training at Boston Children's in 1988, they said, get to know the dancers because they get a lot of injuries, and they're unique to their back, their foot, their heel, many different places. And so we've made a career out of getting to work with this great group of athletes known as dancers. They have a unique movement pattern, so the injuries are unique, and they also have several different forms of dance. So although ballet and pointe is one of the best known, they also have tap and jazz and lyrical, and it's really, really a great discipline. One really important thing, though, it reminded me of it this week. I had a few kids come in. The dance studios in our town are really smart about this and up on this, is there's a significant increase in the injury rate when the dancers first go on point. And there's no age to say, hey, you can go on point at 10 or 12 or 13. It all has to do with what their strength and their balance is. We do a 5-part evaluation in the office to see how close they are to being ready to be on point. Because if you're not ready to be on point, your chances of being injured when you start up are very high. So the dance instructors in our town have really caught on to this through the years, and they send us a lot of people to evaluate them. It's almost like the junior high kids that you and I talk about that, you know, when they go in the weight room and they're not ready and they have a high risk of injury, or the pitchers of when they start throwing breaking pitches and curveballs, Ray, and they're not ready. This is that analogous to that in dancers. If they go on point and they're not ready, wow, they're a setup for a problem. So they see one of our dance specialty PTs often for 6 weeks or 3 months. They're taught the program. They do a lot of it on their own. And while they're doing that strengthening, they find out not only do they prevent injuries, but they also are more, they're more explosive athletes. Their performances are improved. So I just today kind of wanted to have a shout-out thank you for a career of getting to see this wonderful group of athletes that make my life bring a smile to my face. They're really a good group of athletes to work with, and that would be the dancers that I wanted to touch on this morning. Right?
They train hard, like you say, Joe, and also it's important for them to stay and stretch, right? Stretching for dancers and really any athlete, such a key. But when you talk about the dancers and all those different moving parts from the waist below and even above the waist, stretching apparent. I always see the dancers doing hours and hours of stretching.
You do see that, but I'll tell you one thing, Ray, that's really a little secret thing about it is there are just some people, the way they're made, they just don't have the flexibility in the hips and elsewhere to be able to do this. No, they can stretch till the cows come home, and I can notice this after 30-some years of evaluating them. There are just some girls that are just not made for, and they don't have enough flexibility no matter how much they stretch. But the ones that have that flexibility, they're so beautiful to watch, and watching them in the performances is so much fun. So catch a performance sometime. The spring is the time that we get a lot of performances around the Akron area. Spring and late spring and summer. They're really a wonderful group to watch and care for.
All right, Joe. Great stuff and well done in acknowledging our dancers in the region. Thanks, my friend. We'll reconnect next week.
Okay, sounds great, Ray. Have a great week.